Okay, thank you so much for joining us again on the program TMR Monday. We told you earlier that in the concluding stage of the program, we'll open our studio line. You can win yourself a form to be part of Miss ITV Bold and Fabulous 2019 Beauty Pageant. As a matter of fact, that's the maiden edition that we are working towards. And stay tuned to the show this morning. You're on the plus size, you're on the big size, you're on the menicious, let me put it that way, the plentiful side. You have the opportunity to win something for yourself today by getting the form. That form, you know, we sell it for 5,000 naira, but one of our supporters is making it possible for us to give out 10 forms this morning. We'll let you into that in the course of the program. Okay, let's go into a major talking point on the program today, which of course is the recent arrest of about 77 Nigerians suspected of involvement in cyber fraud. Now, we're going to show you two videos. One of them is quite interesting. I mean, the first one is a story put together by ABC News in the US. We must give them credit for that. But the interesting thing is that the scam is what used to be a practice in Nigeria back in the days. And I recall that this one was shared in one of our WhatsApp group, and someone like, man, a child even in kindergarten knows the trick behind this. They call it wash. You know, some guys tell you that they've got some dollars somewhere that they are looking for monies to buy chemicals to wash them up, and you make some support towards helping to wash the money with chemicals so that it becomes, you know, clean notes that you get a part of the booty. All right, but somehow this guy was set up. He didn't know. There was a huge setup, and then he was unveiled. He was caught in the act, and you can just see the way the guy broke down in tears. And then eventually he went ahead to confess how they go about this act, and then of course gave startling revelations how this act is being committed by some Nigerians abroad. And then the second video was one you saw a snippet of it. These guys, they're also in their numbers. There's so much to talk about on this issue. But first, let's bring the first video to you. Put together. This one was put together by ABC News, where a con man was caught in the act and he broke down in tears. Take a listen.
Being a fool.
That's how you end up feeling.
Pretty much so.
So Dr. Sloan made contact with 2020
Mr. Davison, here's Mr. Tepper.
and offered to set up a meeting with the men who had given him the same kind of black money chemical washing demonstration. 2020 producer Len Tepper was introduced as a friend of Dr. Sloan.
Yeah, we need this money.
We rigged a hotel room in New York with hidden cameras and again put cash in a briefcase, $25,000. The men said they needed the $25,000 to buy another batch of chemicals, enough to clean $15 million of black money.
The money that we're giving you, the $25,000, is that enough money to clean the entire $3.8 million?
Not only the 3.8, it will clean the entire 15 million.
And how long does that take?
It takes between 5 to 6 hours.
When we had heard enough, we brought our cameras out into the open to ask the men a few questions.
Excuse me, gentlemen. I'm Brian Ross from ABC News 2020.
Daddy has this.
What is that? Tell me what that is.
I don't know what it is.
Is it real?
I have not seen money like this before.
Do you believe that's real?
I don't believe. I have not seen money like this.
You know what this is. This is construction paper, right?
I don't know what
Feel
it
that,
is.
feel that. Come on. This is a scam.
Oh my God.
Joining us now is the very man we caught on our undercover cameras here today to make a remarkable confession. Your name is not Davidson, and you're not a diplomat, right?
No.
Your name is?
My name is Eric Amwakum.
And Eric, you came to us after we caught you on camera.
Yeah.
to tell the whole story, to come clean.
Yeah.
This was a scam, right?
Yeah, it was.
And this so-called black money, as we suspected, what is that?
It's just construction papers.
And you planned to take what? You thought the doctor was going to give you $25,000?
Yeah.
What were you going to do with that money?
I told him I was going to buy a chemical to clean $15 million for him.
Was that true?
No.
What was the money going to be done with? What are you going to do with the money?
We were just going to share it among ourselves, me and my Nigerian partners.
Send some back to Nigeria?
Yeah.
And you'd keep the rest?
Yeah.
Have you done this scam many times?
Yeah, maybe 10 times.
10 different times?
10 different times.
How much money have you made from people?
Approximately 80 to 100,000.
Up to $100,000,
Yeah.
scamming Americans.
Yeah.
And you don't mind sitting here and admitting it.
Yeah, because I want to enlighten Americans about what is going on. Because I'm not the only person doing it. There are a lot of people doing it. So at least if I tell them, they will be enlightened.
So there are others just like you who are here. You're
Yeah,
the
many
pickup
more.
man, right?
Yeah, many more.
And how is it that so many Americans seem to fall for a scam, for black money that's construction paper?
Because they're greedy, I should say.
They're greedy.
Yeah, they're greedy. They're greedy to believe a story like that. When somebody tells you this is money, and with a little money you can become a millionaire, and you believe it, and it's out of greed.
So when you run across someone who's greedy and thinks they're getting rich, does it make it easier for you to scam them?
Yeah, you take advantage of him and take the little that he has.
So it's better on your conscience if you think he has it coming.
Yeah.
He asked for it.
Yeah, because he asked for it. Usually, they call me and tell me, are you the diplomat who was sent to bring this thing to me? I say, yeah, I'm the one. So we arrange a meeting. Then when I go, I demonstrate to them.
You essentially you demonstrate you've got a couple of real bills?
Yeah.
That are black?
Are black. I will code it. I'll take real bills and code it the same way, hide it in my pocket. Then I use the chemical to clean it, and after that, I tell them the whole thing is the same thing. But the chemical is finished, so you have to bring some money so that I can go and buy the chemical and do everything for you.
So you clean a few for a demonstration?
Yeah, a few.
And people actually believe that the rest of this is all the same. $100 bills hidden underneath here.
Yeah, because you will pick the sample and I clean it for you. So after that, you think the whole thing is the same. And usually we warn you not to open it. We don't want you to be fidgeting with it to know what it is. So we warn you after the demonstration. I warn you, don't open it, because when air penetrates, it will get spoiled.
And it really works?
Yeah, it works. It works.
Dr. Sloan became convinced, others did?
Yeah, Dr. Sloan was convinced, others too did.
And are you surprised that so many Americans fall for this?
Yeah, sometimes I'm surprised. You meet somebody, an intellectual, a lawyer, a doctor, intellectuals falling for this, and you'll be surprised.
And you're able to con them?
Yeah.
You don't have a college education?
No, I have a A-level, advanced level in Africa.
But these are pretty smart people, and they fall for it every time.
And there are illiterates who are even doing that. They con educated people. Some who have not even gone to school before, but they're able to take money from educated people because they're greedy.
Finally, let me ask you, what is your advice to Americans, anyone watching this, how to avoid falling in the trap, falling for these scams?
Now, my advice is, if you receive any email telling you, I have this money, I want you to help me bring it to America or whatever, just ignore it.
So ignore those emails, that's your advice?
Ignore those emails, because they are non-existent. There is nothing like that anywhere.
Eric, thank you very much. Continuing coverage and updates on the story can be found on our website called The Blotter, located at abcnews.com. I want to hear what you have to say about our reports. Send us your video comments or questions. Just go to the Brian Ross and the investigative team website at abcnews.com and click on Ask Brian Ross. For all of us at the ABC News investigative team, thanks for joining us. We will see you soon on the web.
Thanks, Ross, for that fantastic report put together on how scams are carried out in the US. Well, a former scammer there calling the act and then is helping to see how more Americans can be enlightened, educated, equipped to avoid being victim of this. And I've got in the studio with me Dr. Francis Igberase from University Africa in Bayelsa State. Is a regular on this program, but it's been a way. Dr. Francis, many thanks for joining us on the program.
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, I've not really been in town.
Yeah. Thank you for coming. We also have with us Neville Obagedo. Neville is always very detailed and analytical, and of course with very rich historical perspectives on issues of this nature. Neville, many thanks for joining us on the program.
Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers at home.
Barrister Daniel Obigie will be joining us shortly to deepen this discussion, perhaps bringing some legal perspectives in the conversation. Once again, we thank you for joining us on TMI. Now, gentlemen, this is one ill in the society that has been there for such a long time. And year in, year out, you just want to believe that, okay, something is being done to arrest this problem. But it looks like we have now exported it to other crimes, other country, and those who are in the act seem to believe that, well, if you are greedy, you fall a victim. But how do you make of this against the background of the history of how this whole thing started back in the days and where we are today? Let me start with you, Dr. Francis Igberase.
You see, the whole thing is funny because, like you said, my honest belief is that for you to be caught in the web by these guys, you yourself must be a greedy person for you to fall victim. I don't believe in what they call, unquote, jazz, that they just throw you. No, I remember in the late 90s, one of those bus drivers, one of those cab and enter, they attempted this thing with me at Yaro. I didn't fall victim. I just told them I don't need the money. Whatever they used to try to talk to me, I just didn't need the money because I didn't work for it. And so they let me go. I just told them to stop, please stop this cab, or I raise alarm. So they stopped and I left. So it's clear. It is when you want to reap in where you did not sow that you are easily caught. A story came yesterday. A young girl was telling me a story. I was scammed on Facebook, 50,000 naira. Somebody told you to bring 20,000 naira. You brought 20,000 naira, he will give you 40. The moment you brought 20,000 naira, a voice now call you, a female voice will call you from the central bank. And the person called you from the central bank and told you that, have you responded? Your own has been upgraded. You just make it 50,000 naira and you will just be giving 100,000 naira. Are you not supposed to ask question how? And then you put 50,000 naira. You had already put the 50,000 naira before you realize that it was a scam. And what is a surprise to me, like the guy said, he said even the very intellectuals, professors. I watched the
second report. Yeah, we should have in a moment.
He said even professors will fall victim. Even doctors, medical doctors will fall victim.
These are supposed to be enlightened
people.
They fall victim.
They will fall victim. Let me tell you, Sonny, maybe it also has to do with your upbringing. When we were growing up in the village, these were part of the warning. There are various parables that we tell you. If you read my small book, Africa Fables of the Wise, you see some of these parables and some of these stories that will tell you, you don't sow, you don't reap where you did not sow. When it is too cheap, when it is becoming too dangerous to be true, then you watch it. And that has gathered me, and it has gathered so many people. Okay. But when you have the tendency for fraud, you will be caught by fraudulent people.
Okay, let me get Neville in here. We'll talk about the historical background to all of this. I've heard most analysts say the root cause of this problem is unemployment, particularly amongst the youths in Nigeria. What are your thoughts?
Well, first and foremost, when we look at the subject matter of fraud, scam, and all other kind of illicit way of making wealth, the first thing that comes to mind is the family. Excuse me. The family. I heard Gbera just now talking about upbringing, and like my humble self, I was opportune to stay with my grandparents for a period, and I stayed with my parents in the city. So I have two perspectives
on this.
Yes, about life generally. And my grandparents would tell us stories that have to do with the greediness of the tortoise and other creatures at the time of old, and how we should avoid them. They will ask us what are the lessons you are left from the story, and are those lessons you have to apply them on a daily basis when you relate with people. And my parents too also taught me, because I'm sure that was what their parents taught them as well. Now, we look at the issue of scam from a biblical perspective. There are so many passages of the Bible that point to the fact that people had dubious means of trying to reap where they did not sow, or try to get what they were not originally supposed to get. We saw how Jacob stole the brother's birthright through deceitful means. And to date, the issues are threatening the world. We saw how Ahithophel, in an attempt to serve two head of state or two presidents in his lifetime, two kings in his lifetime, was advising David on one side and advising Absalom on the other side. These are all forms of scam that you can find in the Bible. But when people say that it is unemployment that is responsible for scam, I do not want to believe that it's unemployment, because there are persons that are not employed, but they have struggled to eke something good out of life, to better their living, and to even become rich and give to others as well. But we have discovered that in this very generation, even after Wole Soyinka wrote about the wasted generation, we have seen that we are now seeing a generation of people that don't want to work, but they want to make money. And they feel that they can make money through any means, whether it is internet fraud, whether it is Yahoo or Yahoo Plus, as the case may be, whether it is normal ritual money and so on. And so I align myself with the reasoning of Dr. Gbera, that people want to go and reap where they did not sow, whether the people that are scammed or those that are the scammers. Okay. Yes, I will give an example just now. There's an elderly man that I used to see around my cousin that lost the husband. Very nice man, very compassionate man, very fatherly man. The other day I asked after the man. They said the man had died. So I said, that man was looking healthy. What led to his death? My cousin told me that this man's son graduated from the university in South Nigeria and then traveled to Ghana. He did not spend up to 6 months in Ghana. He brought a car for the father. And the father entered that car and drove the car. And the man died. That is one. There's another example. My cousin as well told me in their church, I don't want to mention the name of the church, that a young boy just went to Ghana, came back, bought a vehicle, built a house. Even though they did not sleep in the house, built a house for the mother, bought a vehicle for the mother. The mother is still having a mother. And before you knew what was happening, the mother entered the vehicle, happy that my son bought a vehicle for me. And she died. And the boy now said, they have to wait for me until I come back from Ghana before the burial can be done. And the boy came the day they were going to bury the mother. He said nobody should bury the mother until he kisses the mother and they went to the mother's corpse, opened the casket, and kissed the mother for everybody present here to see. Now, it shows that the parents, the two examples I gave just now, those that died, they died because they wanted to reap where they did not sow. Because one man in my community, a carpenter, the son he came to this Benin to learn this art and science, how to write signboard and the rest of them. About a year later, he came home with a jeep. The man didn't know that the jeep was stolen, but when he brought the jeep, he said, I want to leave the jeep for you, daddy. I want to go back to the city to buy. When he came around, he was spending money. And the man was like, my son, you know I stayed in the city before? The people who left this place before you, they are still struggling to make life. Where did you get this vehicle? Return the vehicle here. Return this vehicle to wherever you brought it from. I don't need the vehicle. I prefer to be riding bicycle or be using a motorcycle to go to farm and do my business. And when the boy took the vehicle back to Lagos where he brought it, they were looking for the vehicle at the time he even brought it to the village. And they got in with the vehicle and his friends. And they killed them as armed robbers. So the list is long. But where I disagree with Gbeda says the issue of the use of Africa to Maha, what you call a charm. The other day, my pastor married a wife. And when the woman was pregnant, she was going along the street. Then somebody parked a vehicle, a V-boot. When they passed the vehicle, it dropped something on the ground. And the pastor's wife was like, that thing was drawing her closer to that vehicle. And the pastor was like, my wife I sent to go and buy something. I've waited for her, so let me go. And immediately just saw the woman about to enter the vehicle. Now she raised alarm. And the man, they started beating the man. The man said that he is on assignment to get pregnant women for ritual purposes. So when the pastor gave birth to the child, they named the child testimony. The child is going to 200 level now in the university. The list is long. I know that it is as a result of greediness that people want to go into scam and all those kind of fraudulent activities. But I also know that those who go into these businesses, they don't go with ordinary hand. And so that leads us to the subject matter of spiritual cleansing. That when you wake up in the morning, you don't just think that the world is like that. You just wake up and enter the world. Because while you are sleeping, some people were awake, chanting cantations and doing some other things, which are not actually to affect animals in the bush, but to affect human beings and curry favor, whether by hook or crook means.
Okay. Basitano, many thanks for joining us on the program TMI Monday. What are your thoughts and perspectives with this published list of suspected fraudsters by the FBI in the US? I mean, the major talking point is the fact that these guys have been investigated, they've been arrested, and their names published. This is a different dimension if you relate that to what happens in Nigeria. And in looking at the story itself, you see that some agencies were also fingered as accomplices to the activities of this fraudster. What are your thoughts?
Well, I read the story just like every other person, and I've also seen the reactions of many Nigerians. I've seen the kind of exposure it has given to us, the various ethnic schisms in the country, and how it has made them even more obvious. So something happened with some individuals, few people. Nigeria is a country of about 200 million people, and about 80-something.
Brian Ross from ABC News 2020.
We are published as involved in advanced fraud in the USA, and it's causing a lot of ripples here in Nigeria. I think we shouldn't allow that, honestly, quite honestly. Nigeria, not excusing or justifying those who are involved, but Nigeria is not even among the first 20 countries that can be mentioned when you are talking about cybercrime or advanced fraud, or scams like that. But we are thinking, because of course we are a small country, so it is easy for us to be bullied. So we are not blaming ourselves. We are not blaming the country as Nigeria. No country can be defined by the activities of few members of that country. In every country, you always have, bad elements. You always have people who will not be too good. You're not going to define the country on the basis of that. I'm hearing now that the US is planning a visa ban on Nigerians, especially young Nigerians, and other countries are following suit in Europe and other countries in North America. I feel that our government has to stand up for our people, because you are using the activities of few people to judge an entire country, an entire people, is wrong. Our government has to come out. Our government should not just say, oh, we accept this, we accept the toga that we are being worn right now. Nigerians don't do as much scam as you have Americans do, as you have British people do, as you have Indians do. But these countries are defined by the good people in their society. Why is our case different? We have Nigerians who are doing very well in various fields of human endeavor. Why can't we be defined by these other Nigerians? That is on one side. On the other side, not to say, because people have said, oh, there are reasons. Of course, there's no reason good enough to indulge in crime. But we can also say that, if there were greater opportunities, equal opportunities for the vast majority of Nigerians, there are some people who will not go into such crimes. So that's our government. We need to look at ourselves. We need to look inward. We need to take a hard look at ourselves and say, oh, are there things we can do better to help our people express themselves, to help our people, know that they have opportunities in this country, and that it is not only in crime that they can have opportunities for self-actualization, but if we do things that are legal, there are some opportunities. If you are good with the cyber, if you are good in the cyber space, if you are good with the internet, there are lots of things you can do with the internet. It can become very legal, and they can become really very big. So we can look at these people instead of punishing them. Instead of, we can chastise them and also draw them close. Instead of condemning them in totality, we can bring them in and say, you guys are good in this area. We want to help you. We can create a cyber village in selected cities in Nigeria and bring them in. We can have people, we mentor them so that the certain character defects that they have can be cured. Okay. So let's not just be sanctimonious and condemn them. Imagine you see somebody who makes so much money from politics, from government, standing as a pontiff to condemn people who have been arrested, who have been accused of cybercrime. It's really funny. That kind of parasitic behavior that we always do as human beings and as Nigerians. So for me, as a lawyer, I have encounters with some of these guys that, some of them were arrested by the FCC. As a lawyer, of course, we are called in and all of that. Many times we have counseled them. We have told them, look, you can discuss with me freely. We've counseled them, and some of them are getting reborn. But if government does it on a larger scale, it will be a lot better for our people.
Are you saying the environment has made these guys who they are?
Of course it is the environment. The environment, for instance, let's start from the family. If you get to a certain age and in court you have not made it, there are lots of pressures on you. What are you doing? Your mates are this, your mates are doing this, and you are still here. You get to a certain stage. Even in the church, the pastors, they preach so much about prosperity. They tell you that poverty is a sin, that poverty is a curse. So there's so much pressure to want to make it. And people just want to make it, however they make it. They do not care. And people are not interested in how you make it. Just go and make it and come back. And they go and do Thanksgiving in churches. And the pastors will not ask, oh, how did you get about this? 2 years ago you were not like this, but suddenly you traveled and now you are here. So there is no scrutiny from the society. People just applaud you when you have so much. And it is the same thing in politics. It is the same thing in business. You see a banker having so much property everywhere, and we don't probe them. We don't ask them questions. You just say, go and make it and come back. You see, I've seen many policemen who drive cars that they ordinarily cannot afford with their legal remunerations. Okay. I see them. I see pastors people go into pastoring job, and in 1 year, 2 years, they blow in quote. They blow, they make it. So it is a society. There's no accountability, there's no transparency. You see somebody is appointed and they go and do Thanksgiving. In 1 year, he has blown. He buys a vehicle of 20-something million, and everybody is praising him. And his friends, who they grew up together, start feeling inadequate. You know, that is how it is. Our society is defined by how much you have. We need to have a reorientation. There has to be a national reorientation, you know, to make our people know that, of course, there's dignity in labor, there's dignity in gathering small. You gather, you can add to it, you reverse, you gather, just like that. But if people just feel, you know, I've seen people, there's somebody, many years ago, I was advising some young men, and they told me, say, bros, these guys were just 19, 21, and then I was around 30 or 31, and they told me, bros, if I reach your age, I never make them, I will kill myself. But you tell them, they don't want to listen. You're just a lone voice in the wilderness. Okay. You're a lone voice in the jungle. But to quickly advise, yes, you know, our Nigerian police, with all these things that are happening now, with the published list of the FBI, of course, the EFCC has also gone on overdrive. Yeah. But when Nigerian police, they will start arresting every young man they see, every well-dressed young man, especially the ones with tattoo or the ones that weave their hair. Isn't that they will start or they are doing it, but they go on overdrive. Yeah. And we've seen a lot of the times, many of these people that they just bring in and they start beating them, forcing them to check their phones. Many of them are just people who didn't even do it, who are not involved in it. Yeah. But once they see that you are well dressed, you are a young man, you are driving a certain car, they start, you know, they just beat you up to accept that this is what you are. You know, we as lawyers, we see all these things. I want to advise, I want to send a note of warning to them that this should not be an opportunity for them to go on overdrive and start doing that. Okay. And I just hope that the Commissioner of Police will call a meeting, all the police heads will call meetings to address this and tell them that they should not go on overdrive and start arresting young men in the streets. All right, I had an account given by someone, the guy is a UCO member, 7. And he said, okay, he's 7 in his school, working in the school, teaching. And then he said, this particular day, some of the students came to visit him. There was this particular guy, you know, he said each time he comes to visit, he's always watching him using his laptop. He didn't really care to know what he was doing with his laptop. He just concluded that this guy must be Yahoo person. That's what this guy, because he's always on his laptop. Yeah. He said this particular day they all came. When they wanted to leave, he asked the other guys to go, that he would join them later. They want to have a private talk with this guy, 7. This guy said he was expectant. What is he going to talk about? He said, sir, I want to be under your tutelage. And he said, tutelage for what? He said, I want you to teach me. I want you to coach me how to do this job. So which job are you talking about? Sir, yeah, of course. How do you know I'm doing it? He said, because anytime I come here, you're always on the laptop. And I know that laptop is meant for doing so you can see the mindset, very wrong mentality that some of our kids are growing up with. Now we'll go straight to bring you the next video. Now this video actually showcased some of the guys in the 77-man list published by the FBI to have been involved in cyber crimes running into millions of dollars. And these guys have networks all over. And then the other thing is that when you look at that list, I think the guy who was number 3 on the list is actually a personal friend of the Minister of State for Niger Delta, talking about Festus Keyamo. Now you see also the picture. In a moment we'll show you that picture of Festus Keyamo and the guy. Of course you can see Festus Keyamo and you can see the other guy, and they look so alike, to be honest. They look so alike. This picture was taken
many years ago, according to the senior advocate of Nigeria, that the guy is his bosom friend. They grew up in the village in Ugeli, and that, you know, it wasn't a recent picture. And he cannot say on account of the fact that the man's name has been published in this list, he will deny him. It doesn't take away the fact that they've been childhood friends. They attended the same secondary school. They used to visit each other. As a matter of fact, that picture was taken when he attended the burial ceremony of another guy who is also part of them as childhood friends. We'll show you also that other picture in a bit. But the video we want to show you now is some of the big names fingered in that report. You see them looking well fed, looking all dupe, looking all touch, looking all dope, living on dollars. In one of the videos that we can't show you, but it's online, it was a rain of dollars in one of the ceremonies that one of these guys carried out. I mean, dollars were just flowing all over. Well, let's see this report put together by Channel 7 in the US, and then we'll be back to talk more on the findings.
According to the FBI, these are just some of the defendants involved in what they describe as the largest online fraud scheme in the country that had worldwide implications.
Victims in Colombia, China, the Caribbean, Germany, Japan, Mexico, the United Arab Emirates, and the United Kingdom.
Based in Nigeria, the FBI says this crime ring also was able to hit 1,000 people who live in Los Angeles and bilk them out of $73 million. And just how fast is this crime growing?
In the first 7 months of this year, the FBI's Internet Crime Complaint Center received nearly 14,000 complaints from victims.
And according to the 145-page indictment, these are the targets. Big corporations, small corporations, mom and pop stores, charity groups, church groups, even lawyers and realtors.
BEC scammers used hacked email accounts to convince businesses or individuals to make payments that were either completely bogus or that should have been otherwise paid to legitimate companies.
The FBI said this was done in 4 steps. The scammers would target the companies, then grooming. That's where they would send out an email or a phone call, usually to the finance department, and then they would start bombarding the financial department. Step 3, they would exchange information. Step 4, the money would be wired. And investigators say it is one of the most sophisticated operations they have ever seen using the internet.
The scammers employ social engineering tactics, spoof websites, or conduct computer intrusions to fraudulently transfer funds.
For the individuals who were caught up in this scam, the FBI has a special name, calling them romance victims, people who were looking for companionship, maybe even love, as they were wiring their money to the scammers.
In some cases, the victims in this case thought they were communicating with U.S. servicemen stationed overseas, when in fact they were emailing with con men.
Who left them with a broken heart and an empty bank account. From downtown Los Angeles, Dave Lopez, CBS 2 News.
Okay, that's the big story across the world right now, talking about corruption, talking about cyber fraud, as it were. And the money is involved runs into millions of dollars. Now, one thing I learned a lot from the first video that we played, which was that as sophisticated as Americans are and several other parts of the world, you find these guys who, for one reason or the other, didn't even have the opportunity to go to school, but they're able to come up with some skills which you talked about can be harnessed for useful purposes to make the society a better place. What do you make of this? I mean, you are a PhD holder, and I know how long it took you to get to that level, but that you will fall for some scams and some schemes and what have you from guys like this. What do you make of this, Dr. Francis?
Yeah, you see, I think my fellow lecturer here got me wrong when I said, unquote, I don't believe this issue of, you know, the Africa power. It's not as though I do not believe they exist. What I only just meant is the fact that you first of all had to be a greedy man for that to be fertile. That's what I meant. So let me first of all make clear here that most of the things we see, they say Nigeria, Nigeria. Nigeria is an omnibus toga for the black. If you go to abroad, anything you see the blacks are involving, the first thing that comes to the mind of the white is Nigeria, because Nigeria is the biggest black nation in the world. They need to go into detail before they know where in Africa, where in the black nations that person actually comes from.
Are you saying that this 77-man list published by the IBI, I mean the FBI, they are all not Nigerians? There are some nationals in there. But you know, but you know that abroad, these guys, they are very thorough in their investigations.
That is going to be the possibility. If you look at the guy being interviewed, the repentant or the former scammer, you look at the name there. I don't want to mention a particular country. His names bore in those kind of countries. In those countries. We have a situation. I've had the opportunity to have a diplomatic course. I've had the opportunity to have a diplomatic training. And of course, I have participated in diplomacy. You see that most of the things we say Nigerians do are not all Nigerians. If you are a black man abroad, you are just taken to be in Nigeria, but that is not to excuse Nigeria. Nigerians are doing, like the barrister said, Nigerians are doing many great things abroad. This is making waves because after all, the word fraud, the word scam is a dictionary. If it's a Nigerian affair, it will be in the dictionary. The scam that are going on, the scams that are going on in the US and elsewhere, when you talk of the Mexico drugs, they are not to be compared with Nigeria. So we are saying this one is not a matter of to blacklist Nigeria. And I do not believe that the United States of America will use this one as a yardstick, as the barrister was insinuating. We use this one as a yardstick for visa. The criteria to issue visa, they are there. They are already there to avoid all these things. So they are not going to use this. The US society is so much enlightened. You even see a former scammer, how they have systematically transformed him as agent of enlightenment
for the public.
For the public. You know, we will do that in Nigeria. It's just to condemn. This is why I made the barrister. But I will not want to believe too that it is the situation of the person that drove him into crime. Government has always been bad. As far back as the ancient, where Godwin and Daniel Godwin has already heard that government is evil. Government is necessarily evil. So if you go down, maybe the role of government was supposed to have even actually be very, very minimal. But I will agree with him that the government need to harness talent. Some of us and so many people will be ready to work with the Ministry of Youth Development and whichever other organs in order to get this. It's not as you just see somebody on, you know, when I was a youth, I was on this laptop. You know, where I was working there, I was always on laptop. People, like the story you said, people thought I was doing, you know, Yahoo. Until they just saw me, suddenly, I got visa to here, I got visa to this place. You know, and I had the opportunity to tour most universities in London just through the internet, a group I joined. But you can organize it at a large scale. Today, you see that there was a time one professor told me to look for him, a young person who is doing a PhD, who is already at his thesis level, a PhD that will not be more than 36 years in 30 October. With this
in Nigeria.
We look around until we saw one who we knew, of course, 45 his age, and the person himself was afraid. What was the person going to do? World Bank, you know, fellowship. At certain age, especially undergraduate, there is what we call, you know, various opportunities going on with World Bank, with United Nations, with World Health Organization.
You can take advantage of.
You can take advantage of the internet.
Okay, let me
it's just that before we knew this, the age, you know, we're already trapped.
Let me just read something I got from Midwest Herald, the latest edition. This whole story about the 88 I mean, about the 80-man list published by the FBI. You know, that was published by the FBI. It was a Japanese woman who was scammed that actually gave a lead to this. This whole investigation started in the year 2016. Now, it says a romance scam in 2016 between a Japanese woman and a Nigerian who described himself as a U.S. Army captain stationed in Syria led the FBI to the record crackdown on 80 Nigerian scammers, published documents revealed. The Nigerian gave himself the name Captain Terry Garcia. After 10 months, the interactions blossomed into romance for the woman, listed as FK in documents, but the cyber courtship ended up with her being $200,000 poorer and on the verge of bankruptcy after borrowing money from family members and friends to meet the demands of the said Captain Garcia. Garcia had told FK of a plan he had to smuggle diamonds out of Syria, and he needed her financial backing. In reality, there were no diamonds and Captain Garcia didn't exist. The whole charade came as part of an elaborate scheme hatched by the international ring of thieves. Now, Nabil Obagado, two things struck me here. I'm not aware that Syria is a producer of diamonds. And here we are, Captain Terry Garcia told the Japanese woman of plans to smuggle diamonds out of Syria and that he needed financial support to be able to get that done. And in the process, the woman became $200,000 poorer. What do you make of this line of reasoning, getting the woman involved in this kind of big scam?
First and foremost, human beings are hedonistic, especially the female folk. They are pleasure seekers. Most of them, they like to reap where they did not sow. And in the case of this woman, the Japanese, I have the feeling that she's a greedy person, because if she were not greedy, how would you go and invest in a smuggling business when you know that there are international legislation against smuggling, both domestic and international? And so it shows that she herself was a greedy person, and the so-called captain, whatever you call him, is also a greedy person. But if the captain, the so-called captain that never existed, if he were going to be apprehended and be punished, the woman also should also be apprehended and be punished. First, for defrauding the family members. Second, for wanting to go and smuggle, to be involved in the act of smuggling. That is on one part. When we talk about all these fraudulent activities as it relates to Nigeria, to other countries, Nigerians are only learning from other countries. I used to watch a film in those days, the Gabano family, the Gabino gang either in Italy or so, that had branches in almost all the countries of the world. And they operate and deal on illicit businesses, assassinations, and all kinds of crimes. Yes, all kinds of international crime. And today, because of the advent of the Industrial Revolution and the internet, the way and manner cyber crimes are now spreading. They spread to almost all the news occurrences of the world, including villages. Now, when we talk about government play a role in this process, because like in the case of Nigeria is a criminogenic society. There's hardly any aspect of Nigeria life that you don't see criminals. And these criminals are those that are usually at the end of affairs. For example, in a state, if a commissioner of police is posted to a state, whether Edo State, whether any other state, the first people to know that a new commissioner of police is in town are the criminals in that area. Yeah. Before the governor will know, the criminal would have given that commissioner of police or AIG accommodation. Yeah. They give him everything that he needs to settle down before the former commissioner or the outgoing commissioner will go and remove his things from the commissioner's lodge. the criminals are already giving.
Well, but this may not be totally correct.
Yes, it's correct.
When you say because you're being generalistic to say the criminals would have known, they would have given accommodation.
What I mean by criminal, it may not necessarily be kidnappers, but there are those we know in every society that reap where they did not sow. They use their power and their influence and the lieutenants that they have to operate. We don't need to measure their names from state to state, but this is a fact, and I give it to you as an assignment. That when you hear that a commissioner of police is posted to Delta State, I think ITV has a correspondent in Delta State. We systematically find out. And if a commissioner of police is posted there and AIG, find out. The people will welcome him, who will give him an hotel, who will give him food, who will give him land, who will give him anything that he wants to settle down before the governor will even know. That is, by the way, what we are trying to say is that Nigeria being a criminogenic society, even though things like this are mentioned among all countries of the world, whether the country is a Christian country, whether the country is a Muslim country, but the way a man in Nigeria has passed through the Sahara Desert to go and die in the Mediterranean Sea or to cross to Europe and the rest of them, and those that are involved in crime, international crime, in the case of this scam and the fraud, the internet fraud that we are talking about, those that are involved in kidnapping, those that are involved in armed robbery, in piracy and all the rest of them, it raises fundamental question about the ability of the state to be alive to its responsibility, the responsibility towards the citizen, which is the welfare of the people. Citizens. Now, if the government fails in that respect, what you are saying now is going to be the repercussion, because first and foremost, the capacity for the government to be alive to its responsibility is not there. Now, when the capacity is not there, it lays foundation for insecurity and crime, which those who are helpless, those who are not working, those who are unemployed, they now try to fill that gap. And in life, there's no vacuum. Absolutely. And that is coupled with the issue of legitimacy. Like, if a government is elected through the will of the people, what we call procedural legitimacy, and it is true that the person did not rig election to become a governor or a president or a local government chairman, such a person will be magnanimous enough to open channels to engage with the people. I saw Rwanda's president, Paul Kagame, meeting with youth. I saw him meeting with youth the other day, and I was very happy. I had to share with some of my friends that, look at the president, even though the man has been president for 25 years, even though what is happening in Rwanda is not democracy in quote, there's a legitimacy crisis, but even at that, the president is still seeing that the people need to be carried along, especially the young people, because the future of Rwanda is dependent on the quality of youth that this generation will add over power to. So the Nigerian government has failed in that respect, and this is a wake-up call, because this batters the image of the country. And when people are saying that they're likely going to slam a visa ban on Nigerians, it's as a result of the way and manner these persons and others yet to be arrested have painted the image of the country. And of course, Nigeria is not living in isolation. Yes, everything that's happening in Nigeria, whether it has to do with the issue of Boko Haram, whether it has to do with the issue of Zakzaki, whether it has to do with the issue of all this illegal migration, they are all in international domain. Okay. So the government should now sit up and be alive to its responsibility, so that all these things are reduced to their barest minimum.
All right. So, let me just take another excerpt from this story. It says the 77 least arrested by the FBI, it says they were accused of conspiring with federal and state agents to perpetrate the crime. At least $6 million was obtained, and attempted theft of at least an additional $40 million. Pastor Daniel Obugie, conspiracy between state and federal agents. These guys, from all indications, it would have been impossible for them to actualize all of these things if they don't have collaborators from federal and state agents. In the US, yes. In the US. And now we have this list published. We don't know who these federal agents, who these state and federal agents are, which is something you talked about a while ago.
I think they should be able to state that, but they are hiding it because for them, their country is more important. Nigerians have a lot to learn from that. There are times, if you have children and they do bad things, you're not going to expose them to the world. You will ruin them. But you're going to bring them in and try and correct them. That's what America is doing. They said by federal and state agents. They will not mention names. I can assure you they will not mention names because it will ruin their country, to ruin the image of their country. That, you know, governmental agents, public institutions are involved in crimes that affect their own citizens. That is by the wayside. Actually, I was with the EFCC zonal head in Benin last week, and they showed me some things because I went there for a client. I was amazed, I was shocked when I saw the documents that they showed me and how our people are able to even clone the international passports of American citizens, to forge FBI documents, to forge the documents of their banks. There's no way they could do that when they don't have insiders in that place. So I think I believe that because I saw the documents firsthand of what is really capable. That is on another side.
Okay.
We have to, we don't have to come out as underdogs in this situation. Every action in the international domain is a diplomatic action and is an opportunity for countries to also make statements.
Okay.
If we accept, because most times, you know, most time in Nigeria, we play, there's a lot of ethnicism going on, and people have ethnicized even these lists that we published. You know, on social media, you see a lot of Igbo bashing. People are bashing the Igbos. That the majority of those people, 90-something% are Igbos. But you and I know that Igbos are not the only people involved in cybercrime in Nigeria. You and I know that almost every major cities in Nigeria, especially in southern and middle belt Nigerians from all walks of life are involved in this. So instead of focusing on Igbos, instead of even the federal government trying to make it an opportunity to bash Igbos, as some federal government officials have been doing, they should look at it that this is an opportunity for Nigeria to stand and make statements and say that, well, we agree that there are some people, there are some Nigerians who are involved in this, but we also know that not only Nigerians are involved in this. There are other nationals who are involved in this. So we refuse to allow our people to be discriminated on the basis of the actions of few people. So for this reason, we are putting our foot down that even those of our people who have been accused, they have to have a fair chance of justice.
Yeah.
Because you cannot, it is an international norm that no one can be condemned or held. Everyone who was accused of a criminal offense must be given adequate time and resources to defend himself, must be given the facilities to defend himself. So Nigeria should come out and say and make this statement and be bullish about it, instead of us to just accept and, you know, become like doves in the Committee of Nations. We have to be bullish. We have to make certain statements that stand us out. As I said before, if you list the first 20 countries in cybercrime in the world, Nigeria is not even there.
That takes me to
even financial crimes.
Yeah, that takes me to this other report that I want to bring forth to embellish this discussion. It talks about the world's top 10 biggest cybercrime hotspots in 2016. This is on the Business Insider. There's a report put together by James Cook, the Business Insider UK. What does the report say? It says cybercrime has been in the news recently, whether it was the hack of the Democratic Party in the US during the most recent presidential election, or a scam that sent fake Google Documents links to people's Gmail accounts. And then, but where those malware hacking attempts and other cybercrime actually come from? American cybersecurity company Symantec released its latest Internet Security Threat Report in April, which looked at which countries were the biggest sources of malware, spam, and phishing attacks. Symantec logged every kind of online threat it came across, whether malware, spam, phishing, bots, or hacking attempts. It then attempted to find the source of those attacks and compiled this ranking of countries sorted by a number of threats that originated from them. And number 10 is Vietnam with 2.16%. All right, and then number 9 is Japan with 2.25%. In the 8th position, you have France with 2.35%. And in number 7, you have the United Kingdom with 2.61%. And then number 6 is Russia, 3.07%. And in the 5th position, we have Germany, 3.35%. India is ranked number 4, 5.11%. Brazil is 3rd, 5.84%. And China is in the 2nd position with 9.63%. And guess what? The US is number 1 with 23.96%. And that just iced the cake based on what you were saying a while ago. So, but I want us to look at the implications of this report on Nigeria as a country and Nigerians. I know we've been talking about it in the last couple of minutes, because I heard someone say there are plans now to ban Nigerians from coming to the US. And then again, what do we make of the level of response from government so far? Barrister Daniel Ubege made some reference to that point in terms of the fact that this is looking like getting some weight along the lines of diplomatic war, so to speak, either to blacklist us or blacklist the people. Let me get your thoughts, Dr. Francis.
Yeah, it's very clear. Nigeria need to take proactive action. Just like the barrister said, he was talking about the police. He hasn't said this is what the police have done as a result. But from his experience, he knows that Nigerian police are definitely going to capitalize on this to magnify the persecution or unnecessary harassment of the youths across the Nigeria streets.
Okay.
That's what he's saying. So there has to be a proactive action. We have the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. We have various diplomatic missions.
Yeah.
Like the list you just read, that led credence to what I said before. That Nigeria is, now the word scams is in the dictionary because it has been a happening in the United States of America and the advanced nations. If it were a Nigeria thing, you will see it in the dictionary. I always say that the word fraud. And I have also said that most of those people, about 14 of them have been arrested. Even among the 14 that are arrested, if Nigerian government need to actually go into detail, you will see that all the 14s may not be in Nigeria, may not be Nigerians. I think why people are really talking about the Igbos and the Nigeria, you know, there is another Obinaya Okeke stuff whose passport had been verified and all that, who is an Igbo man. You know, if you look at the intelligence, there is another thing we should draw from that. If you look at the intelligence with which he was able to, you know, go into the email of the chief financial officer of the steel company in the US.
Yeah.
And all the, you know, I read the whole story, which he did. It takes a genius to do that.
To do that.
Then Nigeria must sit down and say, we must harness this.
Exactly.
That is what you saw the US did. They are now using that guy as an agent of enlightenment. It's not just persecution. I know that you have to persecute criminals. But you just said one thing when we were an alert. You said, Francis, you hold a PhD. You know how long it takes you.
Yeah.
But such people, not necessarily me, Nevi will never be glorified in this country for, you know, trying to hold a PhD. Because if you are not there, you won't know.
Yeah.
Now, what do we see? That Obinna Okeke, for example, who I mentioned, who brought him out as one of the under 30 entrepreneurs. Exactly. It's from Magadi. Yeah. It's not located in Nigeria. So you can see that this is not just a Nigerian a Nigeria team.
Okay, let's take you.
The take I have for government is that they should take a proactive action, because we have a parable in nation land. He who has a clothes and call it a rag, the next person will help him to use it to scrub the floor.
To scrub the floor, to clean the floor.
To clean the floor.
Okay.
We have special advisors, assistant to President Abike Debiri. This is the time to make all the noise and let them know that Nigerians are the most fantastic medical doctors in the United States of America. Nigerians are the greatest economists in the United States of America. They count many Nigerians and show that Nigeria, as big as it is, we have not seen a situation where a small boy will take a gun and enter into the street or a bar and start shooting everybody. So Nigeria is not as bad as they think.
All right, so just to embellish this discussion further, we also have a ranking here of the 10 countries with the highest number of scammers. Your guess is as good as mine, who is topping this chart. In the 10th position, we have Romania. All right, we have Romania. And in the 9th position, the Philippines. In the 8th position, South Africa. Venezuela is ranked 7th. Then Indonesia, number 6. Pakistan, number 5. And then, of course, Brazil is ranked number 4. China is ranked number 3. And then India is ranked number 2. Brothers and sisters, Nigeria is ranked number 1. Countries with the top numbers of scammers in the world. Neville Obagedo, let's get your take on this one as well. And then, of course, looking at government response so far. I know that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has been all out. I mean, just listening to what Barrister Daniel Guge said a while ago in terms of his interactions with the agency. I'm sure we're going to get them here to embellish the discussion further in our subsequent presentations on this program. But let's get your thought, Neville.
Well, when international organizations and nation states outside of Africa, when they come up with reports about characteristics of countries in Africa, including Nigeria, one begin to be worried. First and foremost, they will come up and say that Nigeria is a failed state. The criteria they have used to measure the failure of the state, we are not aware. And even if we are aware, those criteria are more pronounced in those countries more than in Nigeria. So when a country, when they are coming up, whether a magazine or a country is coming up, one organization is coming up to say that Nigeria is the number 1 nation, ranked number 1 among scammers in the world, I do not want to agree with that report or that write-up or that story, because if America took first in international competition about the first one you read, I do not expect America to not take 3rd or 4th position. I expected America to also take the gold in terms of scammers, because the amount of money that go into America as a result of scamming and the internet fraud is more than what goes to any other country in the world. So they cannot go and be taking a position that is more than number 1. That is by the way. The issue of response from government, you know that the government of Nigeria is always is like hard and sick game. It's only in Nigeria that somebody will go and read law and be called to bar, as our Esquire here. The person will go and be made Minister for Works. All the staff that are working in the Ministry of Works, they know something about works, but the minister doesn't know anything about works. So anything they write, they bring to him. This is the routine. This is how we have been doing it. Minister will apply the signature. If it is budget, like the ministers they just sworn in now. Before they were sworn in, before they were able appointed as sworn in, all the ministries were already ready with their budget. So it might because a minister, the permanent secretary will just pass a budget to you and say this is the budget that will pass to the president. He will just pass it to the president. Are you expecting that government to perform? The government cannot perform like that. Because, for example, they made our brother Clement to be Minister for Budget and...
the Minister of State for
Budget.
Budget.
Minister of State, yeah, for Budget and whatever, planning. I don't know why somebody that been in the petroleum industry will be appointed Minister for Budget and Planning. Now, they will give him the paper. This is the budget that we have already designed for this ministry. He will look at it, read it, maybe correct some semantic and syntactic errors there, and pass it to the president from there to the National Assembly. Are you expecting anything like that? I'm talking in respect of the way and manner we appoint people. Now, people who are supposed to be spokespersons to the president, persons in the Foreign Affairs Ministry, are supposed to be those who have been immersed in knowledge, sound knowledge of diplomacy, who will now advise the president on the steps to take, or with the permission of the president, will make a statement. Number one, the Nigerians that are listed in that scam list, we are expecting that they are going to be treated fairly. They are going to be given opportunity to get the highest level of legal representation in America. We are also expecting that the American government will treat them, will treat the covers of international standard of people that are involved in crime, and so on and so forth. And you also send a statement, make a statement that will make the whole world and America to know that Nigeria is not just going to sit down and allow its image to be destroyed because of a few elements or persons who may have been involved in criminal activities that even involve enemies within American state, like the federal agencies or the federal agents and the state agents. So there must be a statement. One, image laundry statement. Number two, a bold statement on the security and life of those people that are Nigerians who are there. Whether they use whether they are not Nigerian, but they use Nigerian passport to go to America. But so long as America receive them as Nigerians, and the document they are holding, they should be treated as Nigerians, and Nigeria should be able to express the highest level of diplomatic expression on how they should be taken care of. And coming back home, government should not just be operating at Aso Rock or in state government houses or local government secretariat. Government should engage the people. Government should always organize town hall meetings in the various wards, not just various territorial districts, to know the problem of the people. By organizing such town hall meetings, you'll be able to get first-hand information on what the problem that is affecting either the youth or the farmers or the marketmen and women, as the case may be, in every part of the society. This is my initial reaction to...
All right,
before that, the list you read concerning Nigeria being number one, that also tells you what I said before. It's very, very technical. If you have not really gone on diplomatic training, you won't know this. That's Nigeria as number one, made to say the black nations. Nigeria is a representative. I'm serious about this.
Okay, I got that point. I got that point correctly. But let's get your thoughts, by Mr. Daniel Obegia. Well, just in case you want to be part of, maybe you want to make a contribution, you can call the number 052-290-573. A lot of people have been buzzing the line. They just want to say something about the conversation so far on the FBI fraud list of Nigerians released, which is it's kept tongues wagging actually, and then we'll be back to conclude this segment of the program. But while we're at that, Pastor Obegia, yes, we want to find a word on this.
Yeah, about what?
Yes, the cyber crime and the fraud and the money.
I've said so much about it.
Yes.
And my point is, what do we do? They said you can have a bad child, but you are not going to leave that child for the leopard, to
devour.
To devour.
Yeah.
You can beat a child with the right hand and draw him close with the left hand. So my question is, and as I was just here, because later today I'm going to have a meeting with the EFCC, I was just thinking, what is the plan? What are the plans of the Nigerian government to rehabilitate some of these guys, especially those who have agreed, who have accepted that they are into cyber crime? How are you going to rehabilitate them? They are Nigerians. You are not going to leave them in the street. It will cause a bigger problem you know, for the society.
Okay, well, the AFCC has been alert to watch out for these guys in case they come back home.
Yeah, no, I believe that.
Let's take this call. Hello, caller. Good morning. Please turn down the audio level on your television. Turn the audio level down on your TV so we can hear you better. Good morning. Hello, good morning, caller. Hello. Hello, good morning. What, we can continue with this. Can we just take that call off? Yeah. 052-290-573. That's the studio number. Please tell us your name and where you're calling from. Hello, caller. Good morning. Well, I guess the line is jammed with many people trying to call at the same time. Hello, caller. Good morning. Hello, good morning. Okay, having a bit of problem with that number now.
So the point I'll be making, and I want to state this very categorically.
Yeah.
You know, when the so-called whites.
Yes. Hello, caller. Good morning.
Hello?
Yes, good morning. What's your name?
Hello, my name is Daniel.
Yeah, Daniel, what are your thoughts? Where are you calling us from? Okay, well, let's get the
when the so-called whites are involved in a vice, there's a way they legitimize it and they make it look like, oh, it's a good thing.
Yeah.
For instance, few years ago, we heard about the MMA.
Yes.
That was started by a Russian.
Yeah.
And, you know, it defrauded so many Nigerians.
Exactly.
But they don't talk about it as though it was fraud. Before we knew what was going on, they said the man died in a cardiac arrest.
Yeah.
We don't know what must have happened.
Led to his cardiac arrest and he's dead. Let's see what this caller has to say. Hello, caller. Good morning. Please tell us your name and be quick about it. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, I thank you all so much for this issue you've raised today.
Okay.
We all are still deliberating on this issue because I'm also a politician and I must to make my comments.
Okay.
This whole issue of fraud, scam, internet scam, Nigeria is no origination of this thing.
Absolutely.
Before you count one or two overseas of people performing this scam, America is number one. But what pains me in this whole issue is the reaction from my country, Nigeria, because they have not been able to react to any allegation from the overseas. Most of these people who call scammers in Nigeria will condemn are not really what we think they are.
Really?
We need these people in this country. In every stages, in every offices in this country, we need these people. Because these people are doing even more better than the bankers we think we know. These people are doing more than the investigator in the police system we think we know. These people are better than the people who are even with the president that we think we know. But what I think is the image of the country is of paramount importance, and I think the federal government should make a comment. The government should make a comment.
Okay. All right.
Because Nigeria is not a shithole, and we are not blacklisted people. Nigeria is the most hardworking people on the planet Earth. And Nigeria is the best place to live as far as I am concerned.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll pause you there now. Thank you. Thank you for your thoughts. Gentlemen, thank you for your time with us on the program. And the rest of you, I appreciate you. We'll take a short break. The news is just around the corner. Stay with us on TMI Monday.